What's gold, white, and red all over? The 54th Super Bowl. Welcome to another Super Bowl edition of Penn State Sports Night. I'm Kelly Warner here with Evan Lasek and Logan Bourandas. So we've got the Chiefs and the Niners, both underdogs in their own right and both incredible teams. Evan, let's start with you. Who do you have coming out of this matchup with the Lombardi?
So I think the clear winner here is the Chiefs. They are one of the best teams in football. They beat the Ravens this year. They beat the Titans after the Titans have demolished the Patriots. Well, not demolished, but they beat them handily. Now, the Patriots are their kryptonite, but they didn't have to face them. They beat them during the regular season. Then they went through the postseason and just demolished. With Pat Mahomes on this team, look at that offense. There's not a single player on that 49ers defense that can stop Tyreek Hill. Richard Sherman's good, but nobody can keep up with the speed of that offense. Their running back between Damian Williams and then LaShawn McCoy is going to be back in time for the Super Bowl. They're going to be a deadly duo. But the main factor here is going to be Travis Kelce and that Pat Mahomes connection. Pat Mahomes is deadly. We've all seen it. He's the reigning MVP. He's not going to win this year, so that gives him an even better chance to win the Super Bowl. No MVP ever wins. But with this deadly offense, I just don't see how on earth the 49ers will be able to stop them.
You know, it's funny, Evan, because I'm actually going to go against you and say the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl here. You take a look at the teams they beat. 4 out of 5 of the playoff teams in the NFC, including the Packers twice, who were the second seed with a 13-3 record. But you just take a look at the strengths here for the 49ers, coming off a season where they finished second to last in the entire NFL. And they just completely improved their defense. Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt the entire year. They got the second overall pick. They got Nick Bosa out of that, who's been one of their best defenders and one of the better defenders in the entire league. And he heads one of the best defensive lines in all of football, which has been one of the best in the league. The Niners, they've been absolutely dominant every single position of the football defensively. Great linebacker core, great cornerback and secondary duo headed by Richard Sherman. And even their offense has been really good this year. Raheem Mostert in their NFC Championship game rushed for over 200 yards against the Green Bay Packers, who were the second seed at 13-3. And Jimmy Garoppolo, he only had to throw 8 passes in that game, but he didn't need to do anything just because the defense was so dominant in that game. And we've seen Garoppolo in those shootout games this season. They won earlier against the Saints in the regular season in New Orleans with George Kittle, with all those weapons that they have on offense. So with that, I just think the defense, they always seem to win the Super Bowl over the offense. If it's number one defense, number one offense, it normally goes to the defensive side. I'm going with the defense here for this one.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Logan. Yes,
really?
that was a deadly defensive line. We've seen it. But Pat Mahomes out of the pocket is more dangerous than Pat Mahomes in the pocket. We saw it last in the AFC Championship against the Titans. When he was out of the pocket making plays with his feet, he was electric. When he was thrown out of the pocket, even more electric. Tyreek Hill just kept breaking loose. So, yes, they are great if they can get to him in time, but even if he escapes, they're helpless.
We've seen the 49ers defense go head-to-head against Aaron Rodgers, destroy Aaron Rodgers, who kind of plays exactly like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes a little younger. But better line. But Aaron Rodgers just looked absolutely clueless both times the 49ers played them. I just don't see how Patrick Mahomes can face this defense, who hasn't struggled at all in the playoffs. They just ran right through the Vikings, ran right through the Packers. The Chiefs looks like the same story.
Evan, you talked about the Chiefs' offense, but do you think their defense can keep up?
From what I've seen, their defense has improved so much throughout the season. You saw it last game. Clark said that Derrick Henry's not that difficult to tackle. Now, yes, that's a very bold statement. He was clearly the best running back in the NFL, yards-wise. But they stepped up to it. They stopped Derrick Henry. They held him to very few yards for what he was compared to the rest of the games. But this has stepped up. They have stepped up so big. And I know what you're going to say. Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida, their 49ers running offense is so good. But they shut it down last week. They're going to make Jimmy G throw, and I frankly don't like his odds throwing against this team. From what I've seen from him so far this season and throughout the postseason, he didn't throw a lot last game because he didn't need to because of the defense and the successful running offense. But they're going to make him throw, and that's when mistakes came out. We've seen it all season long. He's efficient, but he's not great.
And Logan, you talked about the 49ers' dominant defense, but do you think their offense can keep up with the likes of Pat Mahomes?
I get your point, Evan, in that, sure, the Chiefs, they did stifle Derrick Henry in the AFC Championship game, but that was just one guy. I mean, I get Derrick Henry, monster of a running back, but for the 49ers, you're not trying to stop one guy, a running back. You're trying to stop three. You got Raheem Mostert, who went off against the Green Bay Packers, 200 yards on the ground, and that was with Tevin Coleman, who has been the starter for the most of the season. He was injured for that game, so he missed most of that game. And then you got Matt Breida, who, when he's in and he plays, which he hasn't really gotten to because he's the third-string running back on a really good team, but he's been really good when he's gotten his opportunities. So the 49ers, they have a lot of playmakers in the backfield. And Jimmy Garoppolo, sure, he didn't throw the ball that much in the playoffs so far, but he hasn't had to. George Kittle, he only has 4 receptions in the playoffs, but it's because the 49ers have just run through every single person they've played in the playoffs. And we've seen it this season, when Jimmy Garoppolo's on in a game, he is on. He destroyed the New Orleans Saints in the regular season in a game that really mattered, and in a game that eventually gave the 49ers the first round bye in I think it was a 48-46 win, with Jimmy Garoppolo driving at the last second. And he has playmakers. He has playmakers to do it. He has George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in all the NFL, which will actually be another interesting matchup. Travis Kelce and George Kittle battle the tight ends. You got Deebo Samuel, Emmanuel Sanders, all those guys. Those are pretty good receivers. So I mean, it's tough. I mean, you do mention the Chiefs have a really good defensive line. They stopped Derrick Henry. I just don't see it against San Francisco.
And the other matchup in this game that everyone's talking about is the coaching matchup. Evan, why do you think the Chiefs coach has the edge here?
You got to go with Big Red all day. He's been waiting for it. He's hungry. He's coached a great season. He's coached a great team. He built all these guys up to where they are. He's been in this situation before. He has playoff experience. I see him winning the Super Bowl and just riding off into the sunset. But hopefully it just keeps going on. He's got a great team. He could leave, he could stay, but regardless of what it is, if he wins a Super Bowl, then that just solidifies his legacy as just a great coach.
And Logan, why do you think Kyle Shanahan has the edge here?
So you mentioned that Andy Reid has the postseason experience. Kyle Shanahan has it too. He's only been the 49ers head coach for 3 years, but before he went to the San Francisco, he was a part of the 28-3 blown lead with the Atlanta Falcons as the offensive coordinator. He was the guy mainly at fault for calling the plays and blowing that lead. But he's been to the Super Bowl before, just like Andy Reid has, and he wants revenge in that big game, just like Andy Reid does. And this is the first year he finally has his quarterback back, and Jimmy Garoppolo missed most of last season with a torn ACL. But now you're seeing this 49ers team at its full potential, and I just couldn't think of a better way for it to finish off with a Super Bowl championship.
I think one thing is for sure, this Super Bowl is going to be one for the ages. Thanks for joining us on Penn State Sports Night. For Evan Lasek and Logan Bourandas, I'm Kelly Warner. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.